Hello again, YouTube. Skirk over here. I've been thinking. It seems to me that the fulcrum, or at least one fulcrum, of the debate between, I don't want to say atheism and theism, instead I will say empiricism and supernaturalism, because this is not an issue that I have taken only with theists. I've had to take this issue with every type of superstition under the sun, from people who support the belief in astral projection to lucky charms of varying nature to people who believe in reincarnation and karma and blah blah blah. You don't care, neither do I. Let's proceed. That issue is Occam's razor. It is really the only philosophical thing that truly separates an empiricist from a supernaturalist. Let me explain. It can be said about most, certainly not all, of the superstitious beliefs that are still in practice today that there is no evidence for them, but neither is there any strong evidence against them. Fair enough. So then, how are we to pick a side? What does empiricism have to offer over supernaturalism? Or, to narrow the scope of the debate a touch, what does atheism have to offer over theism? As you will see, this argument applies to both questions. And the answer, of course, is Occam's razor, which is why I almost invariably get a really cantankerous response from supernaturalists of various stripes to a mention of Occam's razor. I shouldn't say always, because that would be unfair. There are a good deal of intellectually honest, sincere people who understand the role of Occam's razor, and yet nevertheless choose to believe, for various reasons that I won't get into, in one or another supernatural construct. To the meat of it. Occam's razor states that in selecting an explanation for observed phenomenon, you should reject anything that is extemporaneous, anything that doesn't explain anything, it doesn't add to the explanation, that is superfluous in terms of the observed evidence. As an example, and unfortunately I'm forced to choose one that must alienate someone amongst the many people I disagree with, is crop circles. We'll go with that. In the 1970s, people began seeing crop circles appear, which, if you don't know, are patterns, largely circular, or derivations on circular patterns, appearing in crops in the form of individual plants being matted down in a pattern that looked very clearly artificial. And there were essentially two theories that came about to explain this. One of which was the explanation that flying saucers had come and actually caused them, and the other being that humans had gone out there with sticks and ropes and matted down the crops deliberately in order to create a spectacle. Now, how does Occam's razor fit into this? Well, let's look at the second explanation, that humans did it with, sticks and ropes. Now, you hear people say things like, why would they lie, or why would they make it up, in discussion of countless phenomena. But the simple fact is, humans like attention, and they like making a spectacle. Even if they don't get personal credit for it, there's something emotionally rewarding about creating something that causes a spectacle. And in fact, people did later on, I think it was in the 90s, confess to having created all the crop circles and offered an explanation of how they did it. There's really no good reason anymore to believe that it was aliens. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's instead examine the second explanation. Aliens did it. Well, this answers only one question, which is, how did they get there? And even that question doesn't answer very well. And it raises hundreds, at least dozens, lots of other questions that it completely fails to answer. By what mechanism did the aliens do this? For what purpose did the aliens do this? What sort of aliens were there? How did they get here in the first place? You get the idea. It doesn't add anything to our understanding of the phenomenon. Even if we accept it as provisionally true, it doesn't tell us anything useful. On the other hand, the explanation that humans did, it fits well into our understanding of reality, our understanding of human nature, and our understanding of the phenomena under observation, specifically crop circles. Now, why am I harping on Occam's razor? Because we keep being dragged back to it. No matter what we're talking about, anytime we're discussing the supernatural, that will always be my reason for accepting empirical explanations for observed phenomena. Here's the thing. Even if you could prove beyond any reasonable doubt, that you possess the ability of, say, psychokinesis, formerly known as telekinesis, or telepathy, or clairvoyance, you have still not proven anything supernatural. You've certainly proven something beyond our current understanding of the world. You've certainly proven that there are questions we don't understand. I should stress at this point, no one has ever demonstrated any of those abilities or any other paranormal abilities in controlled laboratory settings with proper controls in place. But moving on, even if it happened, without understanding the mechanism by which it worked, I wouldn't be able to infer anything metaphysical, because metaphysical things, by definition, practically, are poorly defined. There is no ontology that explains how a soul, or a god, or a psychic ability are supposed to work. None of these things has any operational definition in our modern lexicon. It just isn't anything that means anything. It isn't anything that has a conceptual definition. Until you can provide that, until you can tell me what a ghost is, until you can tell me what a soul is, until you can tell me what a god is, until you can tell me what any of these things are, you've given me nothing. I don't have anything to believe or not believe in. I don't have anything even really to debate about. And that's really the root of the Occam's razor issue. The reason we're rejecting your hypotheses, is because they're meaningless, they're empty, they're vacant. I mean, there's no evidence against it, fair enough, but there's no evidence for it. And it's extra, it's extemporaneous, it's superfluous. Our understanding of the world has holes in its explanation, in its scientific explanation. I freely admit that. I have no problem with saying I don't know to some of the major questions. To supply a god as an explanatory agent is less honest than saying I don't know. It's to transplant something vague, something literally vapid, something with no ontology, with no coherent meaning, that offers no explanatory power, that tells us nothing about the question, that gives us no useful answer. It's babble. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope that you do. This has been Skirkova. It has been good talking to you, YouTube. You have a great evening. Thanks. Bye.